Hi everyone, welcome to Wiki Talks. Today we have a very interesting topic for discussion. And to talk about this topic, we have a very interesting person. But before we get into the topic, I want to share a story with you. And this is the story of two friends. Two friends, Raghu and Subbu, who are the woodcutters living in a village. Both are very good friends and have a very good relationship. One day they get into a discussion, and the discussion leads to an argument. And the argument is about who is the best woodcutter. They themselves cannot decide who is the best woodcutter in that discussion among the two. They decide to go to the village panchayat and ask the chairman about who is the best woodcutter in the village among the two. The chairman is an old, wise man, and he knows these two people. He knows that they are good friends, and more importantly, they are good human beings. He doesn't want to make a decision one way or the other. So he suggests that to have a small competition wherein both are asked to cut a tree using an axe, and whoever who cuts the tree first is the best woodcutter. Both of them agree, and a day is decided when the competition is going to happen. And on the day of the competition, the moment the whistle is blown, Subbu starts cutting the tree with his axe. And Subbu is very well built, he's strong and he's powerful, and he starts blowing at the tree one after the other. Raghu, on the other hand, he looks at the axe that is given to him. He finds that the sharp edge is not so sharp. He starts sharpening the edge. Subbu, on the other hand, is like going on berserk, trying to cut the tree. He's halfway through, and now the edge of his axe has got blunt. He's trying hard, but the wood is not getting cut. By this time, Raghu has sharpened his axe. He finds the edge of the axe is sharp enough now to cut the tree. Within 2 or 3 blows, he cuts the entire tree. Now, what is the lesson from this story? There are many lessons that we can derive from this story. But one important lesson here is that we have to keep sharpening our axe to be effective in life. Now, what does it mean to sharpen your axe? Sharpen your axe is to keep learning new skills. Okay, keep refreshing your skills that you already know to become more effective and performing in life. But then not all skills are easily coming to us. Not that we can learn all the skills with same effectiveness and ease. Some skills can be difficult. Some work is difficult to do, right? Now, what if we can have a learning strategy which can help us to learn anything with ease and effectiveness, right? And that's the topic for the discussion today about learning how to learn. And this is of great relevance to a lot of people. And to talk about this interesting topic, we have someone who has spent nearly 21 years in the industry working on project management and digital transformation. What I like most about him is that he is someone who is committed to help people live a conscious life rather than living a default or conventional life. He's also someone who is very keen to explore different areas of different aspects of life, and someone who's also committed to coach people, guide people on those various aspects that he learns, along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome DEEPAK Grover. DEEPAK, welcome to VK Talks.
Hi Vijay, thank you for having me on your show. I have been following your show very rigorously, and I think I must say you are doing absolutely tremendous piece of work out there. Very key topics are being taken up in your show, and I feel privileged to be invited by yourself on this particular show and be part of it. All right. As you have already, talked slightly about me, I would like to introduce myself. Yes, I'm, a project and program management professional by my profession, and I have been working on this profession for good 21 years now in the industry, and largely into telecom and IT industry. And yes, I'm apart from my this profession, I'm pretty much keen to really coach people to change their mindset from their conventional mindset to conscious mindset. So so that they can drive their life, both personal as well as professional, in more of a conscious manner, so that they do drive more fulfilled life, right? Which has several parts underneath in that. So yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
Brilliant, Deepak. Brilliant. And the topic what we are talking about is again living this life from that conscious mindset, isn't it? The learning that typically people do, which is a very conventional or a very default way of doing the learning. From there, shifting to a conscious way of learning is what we are actually covering, in this particular discussion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Deepak, coming to the first question, this is about learning how to learn. So, what
Yeah.
exactly is learning how to learn, and what is the relevance of it, and what is the importance of acquiring this skill?
All right. So I would start answering this with the relevance piece first,
Mm-hmm.
right? So Vijay, we have been following, we have been going through various industry revolutions, right?
Yeah.
Through very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the various industry revolution, technology have been evolving like anything, right, for past many number of years. And whatever number of skills or the type of skills one were requiring a couple of decades back, those are not relevant at this point of time, and so on, right? But in last 5 years, right, technology evolution have been at fastest pace ever, right?
Right.
So whatever skill we or individual have been acquiring, those are getting obsolete very quickly, right? So that
Mm.
is where the relevance of keep on learning really come into, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so it's not about learning any specific skill, it's not about learning any technical domain skill, right?
Mm-hmm.
One should know how to learn so that they can place themselves very comfortably, very confidently in any of the learning process, right? So the problem which I have observed working with many individuals is that people want to learn, but they don't know how to learn,
Mm.
right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
that is where learning the learning skill, right?
Right.
It's a bit tricky. Learning the learning skill really come into picture, right? And that helps individual to develop a strategy, develop a process, right? And acquire that process, that irrespective of industry, irrespective of domain, whatever skill they want to acquire, they want to
Mm.
learn at any point of time, by
Mm.
following these strategies, right, they can really learn things. So
Right.
that's how we call it learning the learn. So we are asking people to learn how to learn.
Right. And
Yeah.
Deepak, this is very interesting because I think very rarely, I have heard anyone talk about such thing where you're learning how to learn. You talk about learning, but then learning how to learn. This is very interesting. And I think the audience who is watching this, particularly students,
Yeah.
professionals who have a need to learn all the time, and
Yeah.
anyone who has a learning bent of mind would find this very, very helpful, right?
Absolutely.
And now you spoke about a strategy or a process about learning how to learn. So can you talk a little bit more in detail about what is the strategy? What is the process that you're talking about learning how to learn?
Yeah. So while there are quite a few set of strategies and process, I
Mm-hmm.
would like to pick a few key strategies, right, which I would like to talk and share with you and your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So to start with, one must have clear clarity on why somebody wants to learn something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Until unless a why which defines the purpose, right? Until unless that is not clear, right? My observation, my experience with people have been they will continue to hustle directionless in many different directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they don't really set them a clear tangent that why they exactly need to learn, right? I would like to quote a quick small story out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quick
Yeah.
example out there, lifetime example. One of my mentee approached me some time back saying that he wants to acquire a PMP certification, right? So PMP certification is a certification in the project management domain, right? So
Right.
since I
Yeah.
do coach project management, so he approached me that he wants to acquire this PMP certification. I asked him, why do you want to do the certification? What is the purpose behind that? So he wasn't clear enough, right? Despite of my asking number of times, he could not really give me clear and concise answer because he himself was not clear, right? So instead of really saying no to him off the late, how I thought maybe let me guide him, let me teach him in a kind of real time environment. So I started coaching him, right? We went through the different coaching aspects in 3 to 4 weeks time, but he was nowhere, right? And the best part is that he himself was realizing that he is making no progress at all, right? Then he again spoke with me that, Deepak, I'm landing nowhere, right? Out of this coaching sessions. So what do I do? I said, that is where I asked you a few weeks back that, why do you want to learn it, right? So he said, not what do I do now? So I said, you do one thing, you take a break, right? Think, and then write whatever you think, whatever comes in your mind that, why exactly you need to acquire this PMP certification,
Right.
right? So that's what he did. And then after a week back, he came back to me saying that it's not the PMP certification he wanted to acquire after he thought deeply within himself. It's that he wanted to get into a career, a challenging career, right? That could set him a better direction in his career, right? And PMP was one of the tool that he wanted to drive, he wanted to acquire, right, to boost his career. I said,
Right.
there you are. So you have now clarity in your mind that why exactly you need to learn and acquire PMP certification, right?
Right.
So that is where the first and foremost foundation stone of the learning is having a clarity that why do you need to learn something. Yeah. And I would like to add few pointers that what exactly having a clarity or a why one should learn brings. It brings, most importantly, it brings clarity within your mind, right?
Right.
And
Right.
with clarity it brings a meaningful engagement, right?
Mm.
So if you refer my example, which I just quoted, right, despite he started off, right, down the line 3 to 4 weeks, he was finding himself nowhere. Why? Because he was not able to connect. He was not able to engage himself. Why? Because he was not having any clarity that why exactly he's doing it,
Mm. Mm.
right? So it brings meaningful engagement from your inside with your learning, right?
Mm.
And then once you are engaged meaningfully, right, you can define your goals, right? Once you're able to define your goal, you can prioritize, right? And then you put yourself aligned towards your purpose.
Right. Right.
So that is the reason why I always say to everybody, having clarity on why is the foundation stone in this entire learning process.
This is so great, Deepak, what you're sharing. The clarity of why and the meaningful engagement that you spoke about.
Yeah.
And the example that you quoted, where the person was trying to find why he has to do what is that he is really concerned about, what is that he really cares about in his life. And then he looked at, okay, the reason why he wants to pursue PMP is because he wants to engage a challenging career. And that's his why, that's his purpose. That's what pulls him into action. Right. And when he's clear about his why, PMP is one of the stepping stone towards achieving that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It could be multiple other things that he can do, or even he might not even have to do PMP and could choose to do anything else altogether.
True. So need not to be having a PMP certification for a successful project manager, but somebody has to have a kind of a clear connection with why he or she wants to pursue that career or acquire that skill set.
Yeah. And what I am also realizing, Deepak, in what you're sharing is that once you have a clear sense of why, it's not about you pushing yourself to accomplish that. In other way, it actually pulls you into action because that's
Absolutely.
what you are passionate about.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
once there is a clarity on the why, right? the energy, the direction flows from inside out.
Right. Right.
Right. So it really comes from your inside, that yes, what, no matter what, right, I
Mm.
have to do everything in the direction of acquiring this particular skill, this particular learning.
At this point of time, I want to let the audience know that there is a book from Simon Sinek, and it's called Start with Why. Okay, this is a very, very powerful book, something that I have read, and it gave me a lot of insights. And if you're really interested in working on finding out your why, I suggest that you read this book, What's Your Why? Start with Why from Simon Sinek. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Deepak. So we are clear. That is the first step, getting to know what's your why. So what next?
All right. So once somebody is having a clear why, then in order to really learn or learning the learn, the next step is setting goals,
Mhm.
right? Remember, without setting goals, we all are directionless, right? And at this point of time, I would like to quote my own example,
Mhm.
Vijay, and that is for a number of years I have been having a great desire of having kind of learning how to read, right? How to read effectively, and then how do I make use of that reading in my real life, right?
Mhm.
But since I haven't had a very great level of goal setting in place, right, I could never do that, right, until recent time, when I learned all these things. And then first thing I did, that I started setting myself a goal. So how I did, very briefly, I'll touch base this. So
Mhm.
instead of reading, because of time constraint and number of things being happening, I started listening the books, right, using Audible, right?
Right.
So how I have been doing, I pick up the book, right, which is of my own honor, or my space, which I want to learn, or which I want to
Mhm.
acquire. I look at the length of the book in terms of time. I define, rather break down, right, the entire number of hours into small chunks, and try combining that, try planning that, how do I listen this throughout number of days. For example, if book is length of 10 hours, right, so I divide that. I take the challenge that, okay, I will be listening this book in a week time, 7 days, 1 hour daily. I'll be listening when I go for walk in the morning. Rest of the 3 hours I'll be listening when I'm traveling, or even if I'm not able to manage that, right, then in the end of the week, I'll be ensuring that I am taking out some of the time, so that I really listen and then complete this. So that's how goal setting have been helping me completing
Mhm.
number of books, almost a book in a week, like anything,
Right. Right.
right? So so goal setting is the next strategy that somebody needs to really follow towards the learning strategy, right? What really goal setting really helps us, first and foremost, it brings the clarity that what exactly is to be done, right, and then brings your focus towards that particular stuff,
Right.
right, towards that particular goal. Then second, it gives you a motivation and persistence towards
Mhm.
whatever goal you have set for yourself,
Right.
right? There is an interesting fact on this, and that is, once your goal is bigger, right,
Mhm.
you really can't drive yourself towards that. Why? Because our brain is wired to receive the sense of achievements or accomplishment very quickly, right?
Right.
It looks for instant gratification. So if
Right.
you have a bigger goal to be achieved, right,
Mhm.
your brain will not push you or support you towards that particular goal. So what you got to be doing, you got to be dividing that bigger goal into small chunks, right,
Mhm.
which are tangible, which are achievable quickly, right? That's how your brain will help you or support you achieving those things, right?
Right.
So that is where motivation comes into picture. So in order to motivate yourself, right, with the goal setting, you got to be dividing your bigger goals into the smaller ones, so that you can really achieve them quickly, and give a sense of gratification, sense of achievement back to your brain,
Right.
right? Once you have a clear cut goal defined, you can evaluate that, where exactly you are, where exactly you want to be, right? And of course, as I said, once those small goals are done, right, there is a sense of achievement that again helps you by virtue of your, your brain supporting yourself to achieving those goals,
Right.
right? So goal setting is very, very another prominent strategy, right, towards learning the learn. Yeah, first was having clarity why, and then second is setting goals.
What I liked about what you said, Deepak, is the clarity of purpose, right? The moment you start setting goals, now you're clear. You know your why. You know that's your calling, but
Yeah,
it's not still into action unless you start working on it, right? Like it's like you're in a dark room, and the goal setting is like the moment you put light on it, you start focusing on that, and you
absolutely.
can start seeing things more clearly, right?
Right.
And the what you said about like once you have the goal defined, then you can break
Mhm.
it into small chunks,
Yeah,
and you can bring that as part of your plan, like say yearly plan, 6 months plan, monthly plan, weekly
absolutely.
plan, and daily plan. And then
Yeah,
you go about accomplishing each of those small goals, which will
right.
contribute towards your ultimate goal. And
Yeah,
I can share it from my own experience that when I plan every day, when I incorporate into my plan my goals that I want to accomplish, obviously, like what you said, you cannot accomplish the entire big goal at once. And sometimes that can be scary to look at the goal, in such proportion. But when
yeah,
you break it into small pieces, it becomes easy. Like you're constantly moving towards it. There is momentum, and then there is gratification, there is confidence, and
yeah.
then there's a satisfaction and fulfillment at the end of the day because you could achieve that on a particular day,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
eventually I think by the time you complete the goal, working on it, you feel more confident that you can take on anything, and you certainly would have moved one notch higher from where you were before you started the goal.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, Deepak, I'm clear with the first step being why. Second step, set the goals, have a plan, and work towards it. What next?
All right. It's pretty obvious in the flow.
Hmm.
You have a clarity that why do you want to do. You have defined your goals. Now, in order to achieve your goals, you got to be organizing yourself,
Right.
right? So you call it organizing yourself. You call it your time management. You call it channelizing your energy and your
Hmm.
resources towards the goal you have set for yourself,
Right. Okay.
right? So so obviously as I said, next is organizing and time management. There are different ways, techniques available to really organize and follow your time management. I think the most prominent, which really helps a lot, is using 4D technique, right? One can really follow that technique to really organize themselves. So let me talk that, what exactly key benefit really come into picture once somebody really start organizing themselves, right? And first and foremost, of course, it really you are committing yourself to your
Hmm.
goals,
Right.
right? So first and foremost is really commitment, that yes, in order to achieve, I need to be doing this and not to be doing this, which we call as prioritization as
Right.
well, right?
Right.
It gives the lot of clarity. Then most importantly, it helps you uh, choosing and channelizing your resources, right,
Right.
towards that
Right.
goal, because there is a kind
Hmm.
of huge level of commitment towards your goal,
Right.
right? Once you are organized, your time is managed, your energy is channelized, right, your
Hmm.
resources are channelized, you would notice that a habit of procrastination
Hmm.
is really reducing,
Right. Right.
right? Because you have started doing things there and then. You have
Hmm.
started
Hmm.
prioritizing, you have started organizing yourself, you have started managing your time effectively, and these all are the reasons for the procrastination,
Right.
right? When procrastination is gone, your stress level, right, it really goes away. So that's how it really rolls up yourself, right, towards your goal.
Right. Right.
So organizing and channelizing your resources towards the goal is the next step.
Got it.
Yeah,
So, Deepak, this is again very, very interesting. And as you were sharing, what I was getting from what you were sharing is you got certain resources and certain, say, levels of energy that you have, and you want to
Yeah,
focus that on things that you want to accomplish, that you are
absolutely.
committed to, rather than spreading it on multiple things which don't realize towards accomplishing your goals. You want to
Yeah,
channelize that, right?
yeah,
You want to create the best possible environment for you to succeed towards your goals,
right.
and that happens by channelizing, be it in terms of your time that you want to channelize, the energy that you want to provide, that you want to provide to accomplish your goals and
Yeah,
commitments. And when you're driving all of it towards accomplishing your goals, very less opportunity for you to deviate from the track and do something else, right?
absolutely.
And that's what I'm actually getting from what you're sharing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Brilliant. Okay. So we are clear with why, we are clear with goal setting, we are clear with organizing your energy, time, efforts, everything towards working your goals. What next?
yeah. I think once somebody really sets these three foundation stone very, very appropriately, and then your journey for the learning really starts, and
Mm,
how a learning should be done. That's where this lies in the fourth strategy, and that I refer as active learning, right?
mm, mm,
Many a
mm,
time I have observed that because of multitasking, because of a lot to be done by an individual, right? They engage themselves into the passive learning, and that's where they're not being able to learn
mm.
effectively. One, second, their learning tenure gets prolonged like anything, right? Whatever skill could be acquired in a month time, they ended up doing it for 6 months time. Why?
Mm.
Because they are not doing active learning,
Right.
right? So what exactly is active learning? Active learning is very, very basics. It really takes us to our school's time, Vijay.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm.
You would recall our parents, our teacher used to tell us few basic techniques of learning, right? I don't know how many of us really ignored them or really acquired them, right?
Mhm,
But yeah, I would like to talk about that very quickly.
mhm.
This includes, of course, as I mentioned, uh, active learning, not the passive learning, which means that you are engaging whatever you are learning fully at that particular time,
Mm, mm,
not trying doing multiple things at the same time, right?
right,
You
right,
could you could do multitasking while you are doing task, but not at the time of learning. Once you're
right.
doing learning, just focus on learning only, right? Second aspect, or second step in this active learning could be, whatever you are learning, right? Create a mind map in your mind,
Mm,
right? What does this mean? I quote an example out here, right? If you're learning a process, right? For example, if you're learning how to do something, so probably you may want to create a map in your mind that in order to do something, there are a set of steps to be followed. So
right.
those set of steps really sit in the core,
Mm,
right, in the middle, right? In order to perform these steps, you need certain inputs,
right,
right? You need certain supporting tools,
right.
right? Then there will be some output out of it,
Mhm,
right? So this is the kind of mind map you can create in your mind while you are learning something, right? Right? And then once you have learned, once you have created a mind map, you got to be summarizing within yourself, right? Summarizing is very, very key, very, very important. Whatever you learn, you just try summarizing yourself. You can create your notes as well, right?
mm, mm.
Summarizing has to be in your completely on way. Why? Because you don't have to summarize whatever you have learned to somebody else. You have to summarize to yourself, right? Everybody's learning and summarizing technique would be altogether different, right?
Right.
But yes, it is important. Last but not the least is writing down your manual notes,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Nowadays, since we have become more of a digital, right, many of us do takes notes digitally. I used to
mhm,
take notes on my smartphone. I used
mm,
to take my notes over laptop once I'm into meetings, right? These kind of notes still may work, but these are not learning, right?
right.
So once you are learning, make sure that you are using a pen and a paper and writing down each and everything, whatever comes in your mind in terms of summarizing notes, right?
Mm.
And why it is important, there is a kind of a neuro linkage on this, Vijay, and that is uh, once we hold a pen like this, right? So we are holding with this finger, right, and with this thumb, right? And
Right.
then we are writing, right? You can imagine once you are writing, you are putting a bit of pressure on the paper by this side of the palm,
That's right.
right? This lower side of the palm. Now we have few nerves here, here, and here, which are
Mm.
directly connected to our subconscious mind.
Right.
So what happens once we are writing something, right? That gets registered to our subconscious mind,
Right.
right?
Right.
And whatever gets registered in our subconscious mind, that has longer retention time.
That's
That
right.
stays in our subconscious mind for a longer period of time.
That's
That
right.
is where writing, creating manual notes is a huge step for active learning.
Deepak, what you shared particularly about active learning is so much of a gem. If audience were listening to it, if they really get it, it could make a huge difference to them. Okay,
Yeah,
just to summarize what I got from what you shared, one thing at a time. That's what you said in the beginning, right?
absolutely.
Like when you're learning, just learn. Don't do multitasking. Focus on what you're learning. Like don't
Yeah,
watch TV and start learning. It doesn't work. Like focus on learning so that you internalize whatever that you're learning such that it remains as a concept inside you, like the knowledge stays with you, like
yeah,
learn, like internalize it when you're doing it. So
yeah,
do one thing at a time, focus on learning when you're learning, right? Then you spoke about mind maps, and I got introduced to mind maps a few years back, and I was mind blown when I got to understand about mind maps. And I was, I hope if I had an opportunity to learn about mind maps when I was studying in school, because the entire subject can be encapsulated in a single diagram, right? You've studied
absolutely.
something and you're capturing those points, as main critical points, and then information around it, and all of them can be captured in a single, mind map diagram. So,
Yeah,
audience who are listening to this, there are various mind map tools available. I would suggest you to go and explore on the internet and see how we can make use of it. Particularly students, even professionals for that matter, project management, and all of that can be handled using a mind map, right?
yeah,
And then summarizing deeper. I remember when I had just started my career and I was trying to work on a drawing, my manager used to say, understand it the way how you would want to understand. Okay, not trying to interpret from someone else's point of view. That you try to understand from the way how you feel comfortable to understand. Like then that's what you shared, like summarizing it the way how you want to summarize, and then so that you can recollect it easily, when you want to recollect it.
yeah,
And the last piece, what you said, Deepak, about writing. I generally write down my schedule every day, and these days I also have been, planning it on the, digital platform as well. But whenever I write something, it stays with me for longer duration of time because I remember the way how I had written, the page, where I had written, or the top of the page, middle of the page, or the bottom of the page. You know,
yeah,
the uh, the way how I had written, it stays in my memory for much longer time as compared to when I've captured it on a digital media,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So brilliant inputs, Deepak, and that's great. Okay, so active learning, we learned about it. All right. Okay, what next?
All right. The last strategy towards the learning, the learn is self-reflection, right?
Mm. Mhm.
So while up till now we would have done lot many things, we would have involved into the active learning, right? We would have started acquiring something as well on the ground of learning. But if we don't do self-reflection, that up till so far, whatever I have learned, right? How
Mm.
does it really get aligned towards my why, which I started off with, right? How far this is really getting aligned towards the goal setting, how
Right.
far this is really producing a desired outcome versus the amount of resources I'm being, channelized towards it, right?
Mm.
So self reflection is the most another important aspect, right, which helps people, learning the learn,
Right.
right? uh, few of the key aspects for the self learning is something like you look at the overall plan, and then see that on the scale of 10 for the plan, right, how far you have come across so far, what more is to be done, right?
Hmm.
uh, it helps you realizing your mistakes while you did during the learning process,
Hmm.
right? uh, Whatever shortfalls have been so far, it helps you realizing that. And
Right.
then most importantly, you can apply a self-regulation mechanism, or techniques, right, to fix those gaps, fix those mistakes, so that you don't repeat them and do the learning more effectively,
Right. Right.
right? So that is where self-reflection is the one of the more prominent strategy, right, towards the overall learning strategy.
This is again wonderful, because what you're saying is that you look at what made things work and what made things did not work. What are your patterns? Like, how you
Yeah,
have been making things work and where your things are not working for you. Look at that and then understand where you are deviating from your goals. Like you had started with your why. Have you deviated from your why? You worked
yes,
on your goals, how much have you deviated from your goals, and then to bring back yourself and align yourself with your why goals. The organization, is it getting distributed anywhere else? And then, have you missed out on your active learning, all of what you said earlier. So you recalibrate yourself whether you're aligned on that path or how much have you deviated, right?
yes,
And then look at what led to the deviation, cut. And that's a self-regulation, right, Deepak, that you're talking about, where
yeah,
you look at that and then look at how can you keep bringing back yourself on track and move forward,
right,
right?
yeah,
Wow. Wow. Brilliant. Deepak, this is a brilliant framework what you shared. Like, starting with why, goals creation, organizing yourselves, active learning, and self-reflection. And I think
yeah,
anyone who can apply this framework can make a huge difference to themselves on their learning aspect, right? On their learning quest, be it
absolutely.
students, be it professionals. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last point I would like to add, and
Mhm.
as they say, uh, learning is not that difficult, right?
Right.
Uh, and success does not come merely by learning something.
Mm.
Success lies in the implementation. So
Right.
whatever you learn by following this strategy, right,
Mm.
you must start implementing in your real life environment as well. That is where success lies.
And Deepak, that will be our next topic with you on another episode of Weekend Talks about how to
Absolutely.
implement
I
the
will be great.
learning
Yeah,
strategies,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It'll be great to be with you on that new topic. Yes, I would like to really talk more in detail in that.
Yeah. Deepak, thank you so much for your brilliant inputs on this particular topic. I'm sure this is of immense value to our audience, particularly all the students and professionals who have the need to learn, and they're looking for those inputs on how to learn something very efficiently and easily. I personally enjoyed this entire discussion. I have got a lot of access, through this particular discussion. Uh, I had learned some of these strategies independently and separately, but you put all of them together and you have solved the puzzle by creating this framework, what we just shared in this discussion. Okay, and brilliant, and certainly the implementation part. I would look forward to have you on Wiki Talks again and talk about that.
Sure, I'll be looking forward for that as
So
well.
yeah, and how was your experience on Wiki Talks?
Oh, lovely. I mean, as I already shared that, I have been watching your, YouTube channel talking about various key aspects. Beauty is that, you have been addressing, you have been talking about the key topics, and, people who are really being part so far have been absolutely from the, real time, life examples. And yeah, I think it's been tremendous. And what better than being part of this journey with you? So yes, I really enjoyed being with you, sharing some of my key learnings, which I have jot down, and glad that it will be traveling down to your audience, and will be really helping them.
Wonderful, and it was great to have you, Deepak. And as I said, we hope to have you for another session or probably few more sessions on Wicked
Yeah,
Talks in the future.
sure. Looking forward for this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to see you on Wicked Talks, and I really hope that you take something value out of these sessions.
And I invite you to subscribe to my channel and share this with your near and dear ones whom you really care about so that they can get benefited. Look forward to seeing you.